Section 19 of Modern Magic. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by K. Hand. Modern Magic, a practical treatise on the art of conjuring by Professor Hoffmann. Tricks with coin without apparatus, Part 2. To pull 4 florins or half-crowns through a handkerchief. You begin by borrowing 4 marked half-crown florins, or penny pieces, and a silk or cambric handkerchief. You then request the assistance of a very strong man. This gives an opportunity for a little fun in the selection. Having at last found a volunteer to your liking, you seat him on a chair facing the company. Spreading the handkerchief on your left palm and placing the 4 coins upon it, you close your hand upon them through the handkerchief, and hand them to him, requesting him to hold them firmly. Then, as if suddenly recollecting yourself, you say, "Pardon me, I have omitted one little detail which is rather important. Oblige me with the handkerchief again for one moment, if you please. I ought to have shown the company that there are no holes in it." The last sentence should not be pronounced until you have gained possession of the handkerchief, as the company might possibly declare themselves satisfied of the fact without examination, which would not answer your purpose. The handkerchief being returned to you, you spread it out to show that it is free from holes, coming among the audience to do so, and appearing to lay great stress upon the fact. Again spreading it over your left hand, you count the coins one by one upon it, then giving a glance round at the company, you say, as you quickly return to your platform, "You have all seen that the 4 coins are fairly wrapped in the handkerchief," or make any other remark in order to draw the general attention, as a sharp, quick remark almost always will, to your face, and away from your hands. At the same moment you move the left thumb over the face of the coins, thereby covering them with a fold of the handkerchief, and seize them through the fold thus made between the thumb and fingers of the right hand, as indicated in Fig. 79, immediately withdrawing the left hand. The coins will now be held in the right hand, and the handkerchief hanging down loosely around them. To anyone who has not watched your movements with more than ordinary vigilance, it will appear that the coins are within and under the handkerchief, though they are in reality wrapped in an external fold. Giving them a twist round in the handkerchief, you hand it to the person assisting you, asking him to say whether the money is still there, to which he naturally replies in the affirmative. You then tell him to grasp the handkerchief with both hands, 3 or 4 inches below the coins, and to hold as tightly as he possibly can. Placing your wand under your right arm, and taking hold of the coins, through the handkerchief, with both hands, the right hand undermost, you begin to pull against him, making a show of pulling with great force, and remarking that you are very glad it is not your handkerchief, that you should not have thought he was so strong, etc. Meanwhile, and while the company are enjoying the discomfiture of the owner of the handkerchief, you untwist the latter, and secretly get the money out of the fold into your right hand, and palm it therein. Give one last pull with your left hand, and let go smartly, observing that you fear you must give up, and own yourself conquered. Take your wand in your right hand. This will make it seem natural for you to keep that hand closed, and will materially aid in concealing the fact that the money is therein. Your antagonist, or the spectators for him, will by this time have discovered that the money has vanished, but you pretend to be unconscious of the fact, and request him to give it back, that you may return it to the owners. He naturally declares that he has not got it. With all the seriousness that you can command, you insist that he has got it, and that he must restore it. On his continued denial, you suggest he should search his pockets, which you tap, one after another, with your wand, giving a metallic sound as if containing money, but the coins are still not to be found. At last, after all his pockets have been tried in vain, you, as if upon a sudden thought, tap the leg of his trousers, the metallic clink still following every tap of the wand, till you have nearly reached his feet, when you exclaimed, "Yes, there it is. Will you have the kindness to put your foot on that chair?" He does so, and quickly transferring your wand to the left hand, with the fingers of your right you turn up the edge of the trouser, giving at the same time a slight shake, when the 4 coins are seen to fall out, to the great surprise of the victim. The effect is produced as follows. The coins being in your right hand, you introduce them with the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th fingers under the edge of the trouser. Then, with the 1st finger and thumb, which are left outside, you nip them through the cloth, and hold them an instant till you have withdrawn the remaining fingers, when with a slight shake you let them fall. The metallic chink on tapping the pockets may be produced in 2 ways. One method is to use a hollow metal wand, japanned to match the one you ordinarily use, and containing throughout its length a loose piece of thick wire, which, striking against the sides of the tube, exactly imitates the chink of money. The other mode is to merely use the ordinary wand, allowing the end which you hold to chink against the money held in the same hand. With a little practice, the effect is equally deceptive as with the special wand. To pass a marked florin, or half-crown, into the center of 2 oranges in succession. For this excellent trick a little previous preparation is necessary. A slit 1.5 inches deep and just large enough to admit a florin is made in each of the 2 oranges, and in one of them a florin, which for distinction we will call No. 1, is placed. These must be put in readiness behind the scenes, or so placed as to be out of sight of the audience. The performer palms in either hand a second florin, No. 2, and advancing to his audience, borrows from one of them a florin, first marked by the owner. This last we will call No. 3. He invites special attention to the fact that throughout the experiment he is about to perform the coin is never removed from their sight, and he accordingly places it (really substituting, by one or other of the changes, florin No. 2) in full view on his table. He then goes out to fetch an orange, and takes the opportunity of slipping the marked florin No. 3 into the vacant one. He brings forward this orange publicly, and places it on the table at his right hand. The other orange he has meanwhile placed in his secret pocket on the right side, ready for palming at a moment's notice. He then says, "I think, by the way, it would be as well to have 2 oranges. Can any gentleman oblige me with one?" No one responding, he looks about him, and presently stepping up to one of his audience, pretends to take from his hair, hat, or handkerchief the second orange, which contains, it will be remembered, florin No. 1, and places it on the left side of the table. He now, standing behind his table, asks into which orange, the right or the left, he shall pass the florin. As the right of the audience is his left, he is at liberty to interpret the answer in whichever way he thinks proper, and he does so in such a manner as to designate the orange containing the non-marked florin No. 1. Thus, if the audience say "the left," he answers, "On my left? Very good." If they choose the right, he says, "On your right? Very good." Not one person in 1,000 will detect the equivoque. Taking up florin No. 2 from the table, and holding it in his left hand, he pretends by the tourniquet to take it in his right, and thence to pass it into the orange, meanwhile dropping it from his left hand on to the servante or into the profonde. Showing his hands empty, he cuts open the orange, and exhibits the florin No. 1 therein contained. Before giving the audience time to examine it for the mark, he hears, or pretends to hear, a murmur among them to the effect that that was not the orange chosen. "Pardon me," he says, "some of you seem to think that I had a special reason for preferring this particular orange. I gave you absolute liberty to choose which you liked, and I understood you to say that you chose this one. However, in order to satisfy everyone, I will repeat the trick with the other orange." Taking up the second orange, he thrusts the knife through it, in the slit already made, and gives the knife thus loaded to some one to hold. Then, standing at some distance from it, he takes up florin No. 1, and, getting rid of it by one or another of the passes previously described, he makes a motion as if throwing it towards the orange. He now requests the person holding the orange himself to cut it open, when the genuine florin No. 3 is found therein and duly identified. The finding of this second orange in the possession of the company may, if preferred, be omitted, and both oranges brought forward openly in the first instance. Occasionally a refractory spectator may insist upon the wrong orange, i.e., that containing the genuine coin, being cut open first. As you have offered the audience the choice, you cannot well resist this, but it makes very little difference. In accordance with this general desire, you cut open the orange, and show the coin, No. 3, drawing particular attention to the mark. Its identity being fully established, you offer, for the general satisfaction, to pass the same coin into the second orange. Being satisfied that it was the genuine coin in the first case, the audience will more readily believe that it is so in the second, but in this case you should cut open the second orange yourself, as it will be necessary to again substitute the genuine florin before you hand the coin to be examined. The Flying Monkey. To make a coin pass invisibly from the one hand to the other, and finally through the table. Have ready beforehand a florin or half crown, with a little wax on one side of it, and take an opportunity of secretly sticking it, by means of the wax, against the underside of the table, any ordinary table, with which you intend to perform the trick. Have also a similar coin of your own palmed in your right hand. Borrow a marked florin from one of the company, and lay it carelessly upon the table, but in doing so exchange it for the one previously palmed. You now have the substitute on the table, and the marked coin palmed in its place. Turn up your sleeves to show that they have nothing to do with the trick, and make a few introductory remarks about the extraordinary power of the mesmeric influence as applied to metallic substances. Then, taking up the coin from the table between the fingers and thumb of the left hand, which you hold with the palm towards the company, so as to show incidentally that it is otherwise empty, continue to the following effect: "Here, ladies and gentlemen, is an ordinary coin, a mere inert piece of silver. If you take it in your hand, there it will remain till you lay it down. But let a person possessing the mesmeric gift only breathe upon it" (you suit the action to the word), and it is at once endowed with hearing, sense, and motion, and will fly from hand to hand at the mere word of command, and that so rapidly that its flight is absolutely invisible. See, I take it so," taking it in the right hand. "1, 2, 3, pass!" and it flies back into my left hand again. In order to show that there has been no substitution, perhaps the owner will kindly verify the mark. The coin is examined and found to be the same. This illusion is produced as follows. When you breathe upon the substitute coin, you naturally turn the left hand palm upwards. In the act of taking that coin in the right hand, which you do with the hands in the position depicted in Fig. 69, you drop the genuine coin, which was previously palmed in the right hand, into the left, the position of the hand concealing it from the audience. After a momentary pause, you close the left hand and hold it extended about level with your eyes. At each of the words 1, 2, 3, you make a slight motion of the right hand towards it, and at the word pass, palm the coin by means of Pass 1, at the same time making a half turn of your body to the left, opening the left hand, and pointing with the index finger of the right hand to the coin lying therein. While it is being examined for the mark, you drop the substitute, which remains palmed in your right hand, into the pocket on that side, and bring your hand up empty. Having proceeded thus far, borrow a second florin, but without in this case suggesting that it should be marked. Breathe upon it, and lay it with that first used upon the table. Now with your right hand take up one of the coins, and by Pass 1 pretend to transfer it to the left, really retaining it in the palm of the right hand. Then take up the second coin between the fingers and thumb of the right hand, and announce that you are about to make the coins, which you now hold in each hand, come together. Holding your arms well apart, you make a motion with the left hand as if throwing something towards the right, at the same moment saying as before, 1, 2, 3, pass, and making the two coins in the right hand come together with an audible chink. You then open the hand and show that the left is empty, and that both of the coins are together in the right hand. You continue. You all think you know how that was done, I dare say. Imagine, no doubt, that the money was merely thrown from one hand to the other with extreme rapidity. The quickness of the hand deceives the eye, as Shakespeare (or somebody else) says. I will therefore show you the same experiment in another form, in which you will find that no such solution is admissible. I will pass the money right through this table, which, as you see, is pretty solid. The quickness of the hand would not be of much use in this case. I take one of the coins in the left hand as before. Here, however, you introduce a feint. Taking up the coin in the right hand, you transfer it to the left, but purposely do it with a pretended awkwardness, and hold the right hand afterwards rather stiffly, so as to lead the spectators to believe that you have really retained the coin in the right hand. To do this cleverly will require considerable practice, but it will by no means be labor lost, as feints of this kind are of frequent use. The spectators, delighted to have, as they imagine, caught you tripping, are sure to exclaim that the coin is still in your right hand. "Surely, ladies and gentlemen," you say with an injured air, "you don't think that I would avail myself of such a transparent artifice. See for yourselves," opening your hands. "I won't ask you to apologize, but pray give me a little more credit for the future. Come, we will have no mistake about it this time." Take the florin between the finger and thumb of the left hand, and by means of the tourniquet or pincette, appear to transfer it to the right. Pick up the second coin with the left hand, and place that hand under the table, holding the closed right above it. Say, "Pass," open the right hand, show it empty, and at the same moment chink the two florins together in the left hand, and bring them up for inspection. Looking around you, you continue. I am afraid you are only half convinced. Some of you look incredulous still. Come, we will try the experiment once more, and we will see whether you can find me out this time. As before, I take one coin in each hand. This time you actually do so. You again pass your left hand under the table, detaching in its passage the third florin, which you had previously stuck to the underside of the table, but taking care that the two do not prematurely jingle together. Then, holding the other florin with the fingers of the right hand, which should be held palm downwards about a foot above the table, make Pass 1 with that hand, thus bringing the coin into its palm, and at the same time chink the other two coins in the left hand and bring them up for examination. One of them in this instance is a substitute, and therefore, in the unlikely event of the audience insisting that the trick should be performed with marked coins, this last act must be omitted. With a regular conjuring table, this trick might be made even more surprising, from the facilities which the servante would afford for getting rid of and regaining the coin. But even if you habitually use such a table, it is better not to avail yourself of it for this performance. The trick is, in any shape, too minute for stage performance, and in a drawing room it is apt to draw special attention to the table, which in the case of a trick table is a little embarrassing. End of Section 19.